Yes, so Hairless here. Today we're back with a Patreon request. Thank you to Del and Carol for this one. This is VoicePlay with Hoist The Colours. It's featuring Jose Rosario Jr., or is it Jose? This is a song from Pirates of the Caribbean, the film. It's a Hans Zimmer composition. What a guy, some of the music he's written. I didn't know the song by name, and to be honest, I was expecting something quite upbeat. I went and watched the clip from the film. I don't remember it, not gonna lie. I do know the song though, but only as a backing track used in some videos I've seen about scary sea creatures or stories, that kind of thing. It's certainly quite a harrowing tune. It's a sea shanty, I suppose. It's sung in the film, at least in the clip I found, in quite morbid circumstances, essentially a mass execution at the gallows. A child starts off singing and then everyone else joins in. So that's where we're at. I'm not going to say any more or give any predictions because it's a very short, quite grim song. There are some things I'd like to say about the harmony in particular, but not in the introduction. I'll see if it's relevant in a later analysis section. I don't know what VoicePlay will do here. Because the original song is so bare bones, they can do literally anything. All I can say is that they have extended the song if duration is anything to go by. So without further ado, let's get straight into it.
The king and his men stole the queen from her bed and bound her in her bones. The seas be ours and by the powers where we will roam. Yo ho, yo ho, hands hoist the colours high. Heave ho, thieves and beggars, never shall we.
That's menacing, isn't it? I want to pause here because even though it seems like we've not had much, I think we have. Right now, my body is tingling, like shuddering. It's definitely very impactful music, and we've only heard 1 minute. I want to carry on, but I can't. Okay. My fingers are tingling because I want to click play. We'll go over our analysis of what we've just heard. There is a fair bit to say. No, it's important. This is important. If you don't want to hear, go to the timestamp. As always, VoicePlay are in the same key as the original. I wonder when I'll hear them sing in a different key to a song that they're covering. If they ever have done, don't say in the comments if they have. No spoilers. The opening of the song is my introduction to Jose or Jose Rosario Jr.
The king and his men stole the queen from.
He's changed the melody here. On Queen From, he sings, whereas in the original song. Oh, and before I forget, of course, great set, outfits, makeup, as usual. But these are particularly good, I think. Ellie looks particularly convincing. Perhaps I should get a headscarf myself. I liked Caesar's entry as well. Nice airy voice. So now we've had two guys with the solo, and then next, Ellie. That's good. And that chromatic inflection as well just adds to the eeriness of the song. The original is just the melody. It's amazing what Hans Zimmer is able to do with just one line, nothing else. But we'll get to that in a bit. Just after that, on By the Powers, there's an interesting descending line. There's a homophonic descending motion. You know, they're all moving together. And all the lines there are a bit peculiar. I mean, in the bass, we get this. A repeated note at first, so he's kind of faking this descending motion. The other parts get closer to the bass and it makes a tighter sound. I like this little sort of interlude bit. Yo. In the original we get yo ho, so I'm expecting to hear ho, but no, we get the beat. And instead of yo ho, then when ho comes in, ho. it's the same pitch. So I'm thinking, okay, it's rhythmically augmented, they've just made the lengths a bit longer of everything. But no, then we get what we're expecting. Right, so this is probably a good point to talk about the harmony. The original song, to put it simply, has none. Or rather, it provides us with none obviously. When we hear the singing, it's either a single line or unison. We do also get some snare drums. But in this context, the emphasis is definitely on the unison chorus feel. So one melodic line without harmonies. I guess the snare drums do kind of have a pitch of this for one harmonic line, but it's subtle and we typically don't associate percussion with harmonic depth. Also, when the singing starts, there are harmonics sounding in a completely different key in the background. Harmonics are, quite ironically, harmonically unsettling enough due to their makeup. Combined with them being in a different key here, it's like they're doing everything they can to not make the underlying harmony obvious. What does this mean though? There being just one unison sung line without provided harmonies? Well, especially for the solo lines, we create the harmonies in our head. We fill in the gaps, we create the musical context. VoicePlay have taken the opposite approach. They make the harmony obvious. They literally spell out the chords for us. Slow arpeggios.
The king and his men, the queen from her bed, bound her in her bow.
That last chord here is interesting because it's really this. A C dominant seventh with the root, the C, removed. This chord, the dominant seventh, I've mentioned it before in some of my videos. Basically, after you hear it, you want to move down to the chord 5 notes below. That takes us to F minor. F minor is the overall key. So it's setting us up to return to the tonal home, F minor. Then after this, we do get the arpeggiated chord again.
The seas beyond.
But this time, instead of like we had before, he's changed this top note to the C. And then what comes after this? That interesting line I was talking about earlier. Just after that, on By the Powers, there's an interesting descending line. So it ends on this note, which completes the C dominant 7th chord. And that's the chord that sets us up to return to the home key, F minor. Which Ellie confirms by belting that F. Let's not worry about the names like F or C or dominant 7th, these are theory terms. The main thing is that VoicePlay are making the harmony so obvious when in the original song it doesn't exist essentially. And how they make these small changes to the chords to set them up for what comes next. In the introduction, this is what I was alluding to. The fact that the original song is so bare harmonically that VoicePlay have a lot of freedom to, well, play with the harmony. I thought maybe there was a small chance they were going to funk up the harmonies a bit, but owing to the nature of the song, how harrowing it is, they're sticking to the basics, which is definitely the right shout, especially when things are much slower. You know, there's a time and place for funky harmonies. VoicePlay do then affirm the unison line, sticking true to the original.
Behold, thieves and
before then breaking into harmony to end the phrase.
never shall we.
No words needed for that F1. And that's where we got to, so let's carry on.
Now some men have died and some are alive, and others sail on the sea with keys to the cage and the devil to pay. We
This is one that physically is affecting me. And I wouldn't think it would, based on what's happening musically. It just shows that what music can make you feel is more powerful than any kind of theory. Alright, let's go back over that middle section then. So we started off from our resident Nothing Else Matters intro. I spoke about that in my last VoicePlay reaction. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. The Oogie Boogie song, card up here. I'll include a clip of that now. Call me crazy, but this is the exact same opening from Nothing Else Matters.
So Mr. Oogie Boogie and you. Mr. Oogie Boogie and you.
I know Nothing Else Matters came after all of these, but it was the very first thing, the very first noise I ever heard VoicePlay produce. So I'm referring to it as the Nothing Else Matters intro. We did get these layered arpeggios before, as I mentioned from the beginning.
King and his men.
But this time around they're much more exaggerated. Everyone is going dum dum. It's funny, I went on that whole harmony spiel before, because now they have funked up the chords. With this F-7 there, and right after that, we get this luscious dissonance. Whoa, there. That's as clashy as things can physically get in terms of equal temperament. And then the obvious harmonic thing, we get a complete harmonic shift. This is called the parallel major. So instead of F minor, it's F major. Also Ellie just casually going up to. And my favourite bit so far, we have that modulation that I spoke about earlier. We can think of it as C to F, but we have Jeff with this descending scale. So he is going C to F. So we have this nice harmonic progression, changing chords for the journey between the two, instead of just a simple chord change. But to finish off Jeff's descending scale, listen to what he does. He goes down to here instead. And then we get the F minor chord we're expecting on yo. Which is quite strange, but it's an element of unexpectedness, surprise, eeriness, I guess. I'm finding the beats really important because things are slow in general. This is what keeps us looking forward to something. You know, we expect the next beat.
With keys to the cage and the...
I wonder if it's all made up with just body percussion, claps, bangs, etc. Or if there are any of Lane's vocal beatbox contributions thrown in there. I'm talking about before he comes in with actual beatboxing.
Has been raised.
Yeah, Mr. Rosario Jr., he has a powerful voice, doesn't he? And quite piercing, blimey. One other thing that was interesting, on sepulchral tones, Caesar sings tone. Ellie sounds like he's singing time, at least that's what I hear. Also at this point now we're getting the a cappella isms, fluid moving oohs in the background, in falsetto as well. I think that's Rosario. And Jeff's bass line is jumping around much more. It's more instrumental. And then in general things just get so powerful.
Hoist the colours high. Heave ho, thieves.
Jeez Louise. And this is where we got to. Full of surprises this one. Alright, let's carry on to the end.
Thieves and beggars. Never shall we die.
Ho, yo, ho, yo,
The king and his men stole the queen from her bed and bound her Yo ho yo
hands, hoist the
That's an intense one. Definitely one that affects you physically. And Ellie as well, he just went on an absolute mad one. Yeah, they did a great job in extending the short song into their own arrangement. How they built up this contrapuntal section. So many individual moving parts. All interweaving and coming in together to create this massive musical mass. And just like we heard, there's occasionally an exaggerated, really dissonant note. And every part getting their own yo-ho at different times and pitches and rhythms. And they become more and more, what's the word, anguished? Pained? So here. So we get Rosario, then Ellie, fluid in the middle, and then Caesar up again. And then I'll just play a 10 or so second clip. Ellie goes up to a G5. That's pretty much as high as a chorister is expected to sing, almost. And the other parts are all high as well. And I like how Jeff comes off his part just before this point, making sure that the emphasis is on the other parts climaxing at the top of their phrases. And Jeff, he's having fun with his range as usual. He goes up. And then down 3 octaves just a few seconds later. And the ending just had my body shuddering.
Hoist the colours high.
Yeah, mad. I don't have more to say. These guys have the best job in the world, without a doubt. I need say no more. Thank you again for this request, and thank you as always to everyone for watching. Would appreciate a like and subscribe. If you enjoy my content, want to support me, join the community and vote on future polls, you can do so by joining the Patreon or YouTube memberships linked below, and I will see you next time.